Hello, football fans, and welcome to episode 31 of View from the Sideline podcast. After a week off, we've got a lot to squeeze into tonight's episode. So coming up this week, we take a look back at the action from the Premier League over the weekend, including Liverpool claiming a hard-fought 3 points at St Mary's to return to the top of the table. In the EFL review, wins for Norwich and Sheffield United strengthen their claim for promotion, and Luton break all sorts of records in League One. We've got another teaser from Pete, and we'll give you an update on the predictions challenge with a possible threat to Jamie's lead coming at the weekend. Our special topic this week will be us catching up on all that's been going on in the world of football over the last couple of weeks, including last night's Champions League quarter-finals and the confirmed relegation from the Premier League for Huddersfield and Fulham.
Hello and welcome to episode 31 of View from the Sideline podcast. It's Chris here, and hello, Rich.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Hello. Yeah, not too bad. Long time no speak.
Yes. Yeah, 2 whole weeks.
2 weeks without, no podcast. No podcast last week, but we are back this week. We'll get started because we've probably got a lot to go through, and we'll start with Pete's teaser. This is a new kind of a he's overtaken us on the teaser now, hasn't he?
Yes,
he's put his name to it.
He has.
See,
I've told him he's got his own feature, but
yeah,
I think
I looked down now because it used to just say teaser from Pete, but now it actually says Pete's teaser.
Pete's teaser.
Yeah.
I think next year it'd be something we'll officially bed into the podcast. He can have his own slot. Maybe he can phone in.
I thought, maybe you can get involved in some way.
He could do.
He sure likes
he does. He's the quiz master of the South Coast. So and it's a good one this week.
A hard one because I looked at it earlier and
it would certainly test our knowledge. That's for sure.
With me today, so I came a bit more prepared.
Good, because you may need to do some writing and some working out. So this week's teaser is: how many London-based clubs played in the first ever season of the Premier League in 92-93? That's a good question.
More than you probably would think.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Well, we'll go through that a bit later on, but we'll go into this weekend's Premier League action, and we'll start off at St Mary's, where it was Southampton versus Liverpool. It was a surprise early lead. I think some would say for Saints, but it was very short-lived. Liverpool getting back into the game, obviously ended up winning the game. But yeah, coming from 1-0 down. I thought they played quite well, Liverpool. I don't think they've been that great in the past sort of 2 or 3 games, and then I thought this was quite a good result for them.
Yeah, they're still grinding out the results. I think that it was quite strange for Shane Long to score. I think he's not been that prolific over the last sort of 12 to 18 months. Yeah, but he should have got a second, really. I think that would have made the game really interesting. We really would have seen what Liverpool were made of if they had gone 2-0 down. But it wasn't to be. I think. I'm not sure it was routine for Liverpool. I think I thought the Saints gave a pretty good account of themselves, to be honest. I think that they held Liverpool out for quite a while, but it's just what Liverpool are doing.
Were at their best. But like you said, they're grinding out the results. Obviously, Salah getting a goal as well, another goal. But
I think that's
talk about.
I was just going to say on Salah, just quickly, I think that's the best he's played in a while, because I think he's been misfiring for a while now, for a few weeks, and I think there's been a lot more reliance on people like Firmino and especially Mane. But I don't know. I guess it sort of leads into your point. I think, my view. I don't know if this is what you're going to say, but I think Henderson sort of stepped up a bit.
I was going to say that's exactly what I was going to say.
I
Yeah,
read your
I
mind.
thought, you know,
Barcelona's just
I've
scored. Sorry
oh,
to interrupt you.
have
1-0
they?
Barca. Yeah, we'll
Uh,
keep you updated throughout the night. Yeah, Luis
but
Suarez.
um, I think I've criticised Henderson in the past. Um, before about him, but I think he's playing a little bit more of a forward role. I would say in the last few games he's played, normally he's sat in the middle, making those sideward passes and passes back to the keeper. But he seems to be getting more involved in the games at the moment. And credit, like you forget sometimes he's the captain of the club as well. I think sometimes people forget that he's actually the captain.
Yeah, I think that in the past there's always been a certain level of criticism aimed at Henderson. I know you and I have done it in the past as well. That he always had extremely high passing stats, but there was always a question around whether the passes were actually going in
Right,
the sort of attacking
yeah,
direction that anyone can sort of pass backwards or sideways. But I think that, I mean, he hasn't been a regular in the team this year as much as he
yeah,
maybe has
yes,
been over the
yeah,
last couple. But I would agree with you. I think we're seeing a different side to his game, and certainly a more attacking side, which I wasn't convinced he had before. But the thing with Liverpool, I think, is that they've got more people all over the pitch that are stepping up when others aren't performing. And I think that Henderson's probably one of those that he's added that different dimension to his game. I thought his goal was brilliant.
it was, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
he set the move going for the second goal, for Salah's goal as well. So he was in the thick. He was in the thick of it, and I think his goal just sort of shows his determination to. I think the box to box midfielder, you sort of Lampards and that are maybe a bit of a dying breed, but I think Henderson's probably someone that is keeping it alive slightly.
Yeah.
But they
Okay.
just keep
Yeah.
winning,
They keep
Liverpool.
winning. I
Yeah,
think that's the main thing. So we'll move on to Bournemouth and Burnley. A really, really good win for Burnley. And I think that win will probably make sure of their safety. I don't think that I think they'll be safe now. I know mathematically they can still get sucked into it, but the way they're playing at the moment, I'd say in the last sort of 10 games, they've certainly stepped it up. I can remember sort of our second podcast, we were talking about their sort of Europa League hangover, but they've certainly forgotten all about that and have started playing some really good football, especially when they go forward. They do look a threat every time they do go forward.
yeah. I mean, they're 8 points clear now.
Yeah,
They've won their last two, so I mean, they got a decent win against. Obviously, because we didn't do a podcast last week, so we've missed a round of games. But I think the 2-0 win they got against Wolves last week was a really good result. Possibly maybe a bit of an upset. And then yeah, I mean, the 3 points against Bournemouth does make them safe. I mean, well, like you say, not mathematically, but they're 8 points clear of Cardiff with 5 games to go. And strangely enough, they play each other this weekend. So I think I would feel a bit more confident if I was a Burnley fan if you come away from that match with 3 points.
yeah,
And then you're sort of 11 points with only 12 to play for. So not there yet, but I mean, it, I think Begovic was. I don't know what he was doing in
another
that
great. Well,
game. I mean,
the
I think.
first goal wasn't it? It was a
I mean,
corner and he completely missed it.
yeah, I think Burnley were. I do think Burnley deserved to win it, but I just think Bournemouth gave them a massive helping hand. I mean, the goals were pretty early in that game. The first sort of 2 or 3 goals were pretty early, if I remember rightly.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
even for the third one, I know there was a bit of a debate about whether the ball was out of play or not. I'm not convinced it was. And then the Bournemouth defence sort of just stop. Begovic spills the cross, and I mean, it's a pretty simple finish, but yeah, a good win. I don't know what's going on with Bournemouth. I think that
Yeah,
well, their form's shocking. I think they've won 2 in their last 18 or something like that.
they had a
If you
really good
think,
start, didn't they? Like
yeah, they
compared,
did.
they've literally done the vice versa of what Burnley have done. Really, when you think about it,
Yeah, I remember having the conversation about whether Bournemouth can sort of maintain their form and whether they can get into Europe, and they seem to do it the other way to the other teams. They seem to sort of get all their points in the first half of the season and then just sort of tail off pretty drastically towards the end of the season. I mean, they're in a poor run of form, but I mean, if we're saying sort of Burnley beat Cardiff and then they're sort of 11 points clear, I mean, Bournemouth are 10 points clear already. So, I mean, you'd pretty much say they're safe.
oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so the Huddersfield Leicester game, uh, Leicester. Yeah, well, it was pretty straightforward for Leicester. I don't think they. I think they are scoring some really good goals at the minute. That Tielemans, he looks like a really good player.
Yeah, he does.
They've
I,
got some
I,
really and Madison as well. He's another one. He's got a bright future ahead of him, and they
yeah,
seem to have got a really good young squad. Like some of their players, I know Morgan, like pushes the average age of the squad up, but they've got that Chilwell as well. They've got some really really good players there, and I think Brendan Rodgers has actually inherited a pretty good side, and he's got something definitely there to work with next season. Obviously, depending on who they can keep. That Tielemans, he's only on loan, I believe, so I don't think they've signed him. But whether they go in for him, but I think it
I
just
think
sums
that's
up
the key.
Huddersfield this season, really.
Yeah, I think it does. I think, I mean, I've said it before. I was never sort of Brendan Rodgers' greatest fan,
No.
but I'll hold my hands up. I think he's done a good job since he's gone into Leicester. The thing for me, as you sort of mentioned, is what they managed to do in the summer. So if you, I mean, I've heard a few rumours this week, for example, that there's rumours of Spurs going in for Maddison if Ericsson was to go. There's a few rumours going around about Chilwell going to City because, I mean, I think from a City point of view, their left back's probably the only sort of
Yeah, well,
area
they've
in the
got the
in the
thing is they've
team.
got they've got Mendy, isn't he? But he's always injured.
I like Mendy, but I think there's a bit of a question mark about him defensively. But I think that it's the complete opposite with Chilwell. I think he's the one that I mean, he's an England regular now, isn't he? But
Oh
I
yeah,
think that's the thing with Leicester. The summer's going to be pretty important for them, and I, I mean, Rodgers has inherited a decent squad there, and it's the same group of players that Puel had. Um, Maybe he was just a different type of manager. I mean, I don't think they were playing bad football under him. I think it was just they. I mean, they won games that you'd probably expect them not to win, and they were losing games you'd expect them to win. So, but I mean, Rodgers kind of had a free run to the end of the season, didn't he? Really, because they weren't going to go down and they weren't going to sort of challenge the sort of top six. But 4 wins on the spin now for them, and they are in seventh. Admittedly, 14 points behind United in sixth, but they're doing good. They're doing good. I think they'll certainly be challenging for sort of seventh, eighth place next season pretty comfortably. I think.
oh yeah, definitely. And like you mentioned there, I think it's going to be key that they keep Madison. I think he. The thing is for him, will he look at someone like Jamie Vardy and think well, he missed out? He had a chance to move to a bigger club, didn't take it, and now it's kind of his
Yeah,
chance is
maybe,
gone. But
maybe. I mean, I've got
obviously,
no.
Madison has got age on his side where he's still very young. He's a young
He,
player, and he's got
He has, but with the greatest of respect to Leicester, and I like Leicester as a club. I like watching them play. I think they play good football. If a top four side came calling for you, I think your head's going to turn without a doubt.
yeah.
I don't care how old you are. I mean, I don't know. But I'd be pretty comfortable saying that I expect Vardy regrets not going to Arsenal when he had the
Oh yeah,
opportunity, and I think
definitely.
that time's passed now. I don't think he's going to get a move like that
He
again.
won't. He won't. No, I don't think he will.
But and at the same time, Leicester, if Leicester were to sell Maddison to a top 4, top 6 side, they would make a decent profit
He
from it.
makes some
So
very good money.
yeah,
He only
absolutely.
signed
So
this season, didn't he? So
yeah, so
yeah.
we'll see. We'll see what happens to him
Okay.
in the summer.
Newcastle versus Crystal Palace. I don't really, to be honest with you, I've seen the game. There wasn't really too much apart from Milivojevic scoring another penalty.
What is it about him? What is it about Crystal Palace and penalties? I mean,
Most
I
penalties this season in the Premier League, isn't it? From
well,
what I
I
can
mean,
see.
crikey, I mean, I don't know any other player, maybe Letitia back in the day, that's ever scored 10 penalties in a season. It's just ridiculous. I mean, I know, I did read that on the sort of darker side of football that Zaha was getting a bit of abuse from some fans. I'm not sure whether it was after the incident or like on social media afterwards. He was getting some sort of pretty heavy stuff about diving and things like that. And I don't think it was a dive at all,
Oh
really.
no,
I
I
mean,
thought it was a
but
penalty.
do you not think that I go back to like sort of, I don't know how long, maybe 10 years ago when Andy Johnson was at Crystal Palace, and there was always talk about how Palace used to get all these penalties and Andy Johnson was a diver and this, that, and the other. And it's almost as if it's stuck, like the mud stuck with Palace.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's Zaha in particular, because he's so tricky, because he's so quick,
Yeah,
that
I think
any sort of touch on him, he's not always going to go down. But I think if you're running at the
the
pace he
problem
runs
is
at, they just get penalty after
he
penalty
has.
after penalty.
I think in the past he has dived once, and that's the problem. I think as soon as you do it once, I think you're kind of branded. You get branded. So if a decision goes against the team you're playing, the fans are always going to say, "Oh, we dived."
Well, it happened
I
with
think.
Ashley Young for a while, didn't it? And I always remember it happened with Bale as well when he was at Spurs. But and I think it happens to Ronaldo sort of every week. But I mean, he must be their
I
top
think the thing
scorer.
is,
He must be their
if
top scorer on
yeah, he
penalties.
is, yeah, he is.
It's I don't know. I don't. It's just when I saw when I saw that Palace had gone 1-0 up, I thought, oh, Zaha's probably got it. Maybe Batshuayi, Benteke. Yeah, it was a penalty. Of course it was.
I tried to spell his name, but I can't even actually tell you what I've even written.
I wonder if you can probably get odds on him scoring a penalty in a match.
Well,
I mean, it's
if
probably
you've done
pretty
that
short,
bet
to be
every
honest.
game this season, you probably made a bit of money.
I just he must be their top scorer,
Oh yeah.
and it fascinates me how someone. I mean, if you're a penalty it's like the whole fantasy football thing, isn't it? You always stick the people that take the penalties in your fantasy football team, but
Wonder if he's got a clause in his contract, like if he scores like 10 goals in a season, he gets like $500,000 or something. He's probably
well,
like,
probably.
God.
And I mean, he has missed one, hasn't he? So
Yeah, he did miss. Yeah. Anyway,
he's got
I wasn't.
11 goals this season, 10 of which are penalties.
I mean, see, he's capable of scoring other goals there, other than penalties. Just one.
So just a bit of context. The next highest scorer is Zaha on 8, and then you've got Townsend and Jeffrey Schlupp on 4. It's mental, isn't it? Crazy. Anyway,
So he's got more. He's got more than the third and the fourth put together.
to be honest with you, I think if you this is serious. I'm just going to check this before I commit to it.
Oh.
If you took Zaha, maybe Schlupp and Townsend out, he's got more than the rest combined. Yeah, 10 across the other players. He's got more than the rest of the team combined. More penalties than the rest of the team have scored normal goals. My God!
They're just relying on
think.
penalties.
I tell you what. I'm going to say it now. Put a couple of quid on him being top scorer next year, because with VAR coming in, he is going to get a hat full of goals next year with VAR. We've got to do that. We've got to do that, Chris. I'll tell you what. Yeah, anyone listening, I'm not encouraging it at all, but yeah, crikey, put £1 on him to be Premier League top scorer next year.
and then share your wealth with the people that told you to do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, we'll move on to
Remember
the
where you heard it.
Everton Arsenal game. So not so much on the game itself, but I think there were three very happy teams when this result came through on Sunday. Two of which are in London. One is a Manchester club. Were you surprised that Everton won? I wasn't actually too shocked when I saw it. I didn't look at the score and go, "Oh wow, they've won." I was like, "Oh."
No,
With the way that
I'm
with the
gonna have
way
to.
that Arsenal defended, it's not.
No, it's not.
Ev-
I'm going to have to eat a bit of humble pie because Everton have really turned it around recently, and I know
Considering they beat Chelsea a couple of weeks ago as well.
yeah, I've been quite critical of them in the past, and I think 1-0 sort of flattered Arsenal a little bit, to be honest. But fair play to Everton; it was a good win.
They're making the Champions League spots a bit interesting because they're beating all the teams.
Yeah, they are, but Arsenal are atrocious away from home. So
I saw this earlier, actually,
that mixed in with sort of Everton playing a lot better than they have been for the majority of the season. I don't think it was a surprise at all. And the whole transition season for Arsenal, Wenger leaving, Emery coming in. I mean, I think if you on paper, I think they're in a better position points wise than they were last year. But still the same old problems for me.
Do you think they play any different under him than what they have done with
Not
Wenger?
not really. I think
don't really see any change. They still defend bad.
I think that's their Achilles heel. I think their problem is their defense. I think their defense is so vulnerable, and I think going forward they're good. I think they're very good going forward. They've got some great players, but they just don't seem to be able to travel. And I think that I'm not convinced by Emery, if I'm honest with you. I mean, if I was an Arsenal fan, I'd sort of I would put this season down to a change of manager, the players bedding in and things like that. But if he didn't start moving in the summer for sort of defensive reinforcements, then I'd start asking questions already. But I mean, I find Arsenal were difficult. I think they're the worst of the top six. So you don't expect them to win the league, and I know, it's a bit strange saying it now, but you'd be surprised if they got Champions League, although they're certainly in the race.
They've got the easiest run.
That doesn't mean anything. I don't, but that's the thing. If you were to put any of the top six up and say this team out of the six has got the easiest running, I think Arsenal would be the one team that you would have the least amount of faith in against the other five, to be honest. So we'll see. I mean, I'll probably have to eat my words, and they'll qualify and Spurs won't. But they're just too inconsistent. They're not going to win the league, are they? And I think
not with the squad that they've got. I
think it's almost a case where Arsenal fans think they should be winning the league, but I think they're miles away from it.
Definitely. Speaking of top four, speaking of third, actually, shall we say third? Chelsea, West Ham. A few things on this game. One is, I think, so I've watched the whole game, and I think in stages of that game, I think you could see Sarri ball actually working. I think this is probably only the second time this season I can actually say that there were glimpses of, I think, what his tactics actually working in this game, which is strange to say. I think
I'm just going to try and work that out, Chris. So if we think Chelsea have played 33 times this season, and in your opinion, this is the second
time I think his tactics have worked.
That it's worked. I mean, he's a keeper. I
will be honest with you. This season, for 70% of this season, we have been poor, and that's probably likely. But we are still third. which I find hard to believe. I look back on some of the results we've had, like losing to Bournemouth 4-0, Man City, conceding 6 against them. Losing to Everton the other week, losing to Wolves, but we're still there. I just can't believe. And I think about Tottenham, I think about Man United. Man United, they went 9, 10 games unbeaten. From the start of January. It's just so strange that we're still there.
I agree with you, but I think that's the case for a lot of the teams. Take Liverpool and Man City out of the equation. I think the way you've just described Chelsea, you can absolutely describe Spurs and Man United the same way. I think the difference probably is that Chelsea are a bit, well, and especially Chelsea and United are a bit more used to success than Spurs are. But Spurs have dropped points against Wolves. They've dropped points against Burnley. They've dropped points against teams that you wouldn't expect them to. Wolves have beaten United as well, and United have dropped points against teams that you'd expect them to win. But they're all there or thereabouts. So I think it's been a very similar season for all of them, and I'd probably even throw Arsenal in there as well. All the big teams have beaten each other at some point this season, but take Liverpool and City out, the other 4 have all dropped points as well. I can't see him staying, to be honest. I can't see Hazard staying either. I can't see him staying.
His first goal was unbelievable on Monday.
Well, yeah, I think the best thing about that is it's stuck a little bit more on his price tag, I expect. But I can't see him staying, to be honest, and I can't see Sarri staying either.
You think
Sarri I can't see Higuain staying. I mean,
I saw this week Higuain's come out and said that he wants to stay.
Oh, I'd be driving him to the airport myself. I stand by what I said. You've bought a name there. He's not done anything for Chelsea. The amount of money he's getting paid.
He could be in the list of strikers that we've bought for the name.
Torres, Shevchenko,
Crespo slightly.
Yeah.
We need strength up front. Higuain's not strong enough. We need Diego Costa, Drogba, a player like that.
It's a huge summer for Chelsea. It's a huge summer. If obviously
we ain't going to be buying anyone, let's just say that.
Well, but that's it. Whatever happens with the transfer ban, I'm convinced Hazard's going to go.
He will only let one of them go. I think if you're going to mention Hudson-Odoi, there's no way that they'll let both of them go.
Yeah, maybe, but I don't.
We've got Pulisic coming in, but I still don't think he'll let both go.
I don't think he's anywhere near. I'm convinced of that. I don't think he's anywhere near Hazard's quality, and I think Hazard will go, and I think Hudson-Odoi. I think if he wants to go, he'll go.
We've got
it's all right.
Youngest brother at Chelsea now, so Kalen Hazard.
Okay.
So try with him now. Dorgan didn't work out.
I read today that that Chelsea are saying they're not going to move from their 100 million valuation. He's worth more than that.
Oh yeah,
he'll surely go for more than that. But that's why I think it's a big summer. Transfer ban or not, it's a huge summer, because if he goes, then that is your team. If Hazard doesn't play well, Chelsea don't play well.
I think you can tell from Monday's game, without him in that team, creatively, we certainly lack. We've got Willian and we've got Pedro, but they are nowhere near to what Hazard is. So yeah, like you said, it's going to be interesting. I'm 90% sure he'll leave, but I think Chelsea will only sell him for the right price. But then they run the risk of him running his contract out because he's only got a year left.
He will go. this is where the sort of player power comes into it, I think, because he is by far. I mean, he's probably worth more than Stamford Bridge, isn't he?
I'd say
I mean
he's top 5 in the world at the
he's the
moment.
club's biggest asset, I would say, by quite a distance. And they won't let his value drop. They won't let him run his contract down. So that's why I think he'll go.
That's unfortunately where the business part of football comes in.
Well, yeah, exactly. But also Zidane going back to Madrid, I think that's almost the thing for me that's tipped it over the edge to say that he's going to
So
go.
if you obviously said you think Sarri will go, do you think they go after the Wolves manager? Because I see he's the most likely candidate at the moment. But
assuming his style of play is visible for more than 2 out of 33 games, I'd say yeah. I don't know, mate. Whoever goes to Chelsea, they're going to ruin. So they'll go there. They'll go. That's what they do. He'll go there for a year. It'll be an average sort of transitional season. The next season, he'll get sacked, and then someone else will come in. That seems to be what happens. I do wonder how appealing it is to a football manager, whether it's an appealing job or not.
Dollar signs, mate. That's all that matters.
Well, and you're a Chelsea fan, and you're saying it, so
anyway,
we'll see.
Right, that's the Premier League done. We'll move over. We're going to do some of the FA Cup this weekend.
I think we just touch on the FA Cup. Well, there's not a lot to say about the Man City game,
Brighton
really.
game. You know, they went 1-0 after 4 minutes. I don't really know what else you expect.
I think that was the worst thing to happen. Straight. So I was talking to someone at work yesterday. I was talking to someone who was there, who went to both semi-finals, and I think they said the attendance difference between the Saturday and the Sunday was 10,000. So apparently there was block upon block of empty seats for the City Brighton
I think where
game.
Man City they scored so early, they just played. They didn't play.
It ruined the game. It absolutely ruined the game. They almost shut up shop. Realistically, Brighton were going to struggle to get back into it.
I think Brighton had one decent chance, and that was about it.
I think towards the end they put some pressure on, but they needed to. Losing an early goal to City is the worst thing you can do.
City still.
I think it was game over from there, really.
Kind of in the quadruple.
Well, Champions League's gone.
Well, yeah.
They ain't going to win the Champions League.
Anyway, the Watford Wolves game, I think.
Yes, what a game! We always knew that this would.
Yeah, so this was the tie out of the two that I think most neutrals would have been eager to see out of the two ties, and it certainly delivered, didn't it? Like I know
what
Wolves
a game!
Took an early lead, but I found myself like at 2-1, almost, wanting Watford to go on and win the game. I don't know. It was like a power over me. It was such a good game.
It was such a good game.
Delafeu, he completely changed that game himself. That first goal he scored, that was worthy of winning the final. That just chip just over the keeper. You don't see goals like that every weekend.
He's a quality player. I don't think people sort of realise how good he actually is. But yeah, I thought. Juventus have just scored. Juventus won just before half time. Yeah, taking the lead against Ajax. I thought it was a great game. I thought even before it, there's two teams. They're so evenly matched, and it could have gone either way. I think when Wolves went 2-0 up, you saw how they win. I don't know. I just find that a bit. If you're a Wolves fan, you've got to be absolutely gutted.
Oh yeah.
But fair play to Watford, and then when it went to extra time, I mean, Wolves had taken off their front two. I think was it both of their front two they'd taken off.
Yeah. Jimenez came off.
And I kind of think from the manager's point of view, I think that's what most managers would do. You'd sort of you try and sort of kill the game off, make yourself as tight as possible. But it kind of backfired. But it backfired through probably one of those sort of freak turnarounds, if you like. But it will. I think Watford will give City a decent game in the final. I
I'd
don't
like
think
to
it'll
see
be a
Watford
dull
win it. I think a
final.
lot of people would like to see Watford go on and win it now.
Yeah,
But
I would. I think from a footballing perspective, you probably may have rather seen Wolves against City because Wolves do play really good football. But
yeah, but
what an
Watford certainly
atmosphere!
deserve
What a
it. Yeah.
game! What an outcome!
I think if you were to
Um,
show if you were trying to explain the FA Cup to someone and the passion behind, because
that's what
a
it's
lot of
all
people
about.
say that there's no love for the FA Cup, but you show two teams that are out of the top six, they're seventh and eighth in the league, put them together in an FA Cup semi-final for a chance to
Yeah,
play in a final and to go into Europe.
yeah.
That's what it
I,
should be about.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. And to be honest with you, I think you can tell City want to win it. I know, I I don't think the top teams care so much in the earlier rounds. I think when they get to a position where there's a chance they could win it, then they start to get a bit
Yeah.
interested. I mean, let's be honest, City's sort of second team's always probably going to be too much for Brighton, but I would absolutely say that there's going to be two teams in that final. Both teams are
Wanted
desperate
to
to
win
win
it,
it
yeah.
for different reasons, but
Yeah.
yeah, it should be a good one.
So that's going to be the final. I see the final is going to be. Is it a 5:30 kickoff?
Yeah, I think
I
it
think
was
this is.
last year though. I
So
think.
late. It's late, isn't it? I
Yeah,
suppose
it
it's to
is
get
late.
more people to
Well, it's
watch it.
TV.
Obviously,
It's
people working on Saturdays,
yeah,
aren't they?
yeah,
Cool. All right. Well, that was the obviously 2 games for FA Cup. We're going to go into the EFL leagues now, and Rich with the Championship.
yeah. So there's been a lot of action in the championship since we last did an episode of the podcast. So obviously there is games going on at the moment, but Norwich are 5 points clear, and Leeds are in second place. Norwich do have a game in hand. I think the game in hand is tonight, but they're actually
They're
they're
losing
losing.
1-0 at
Yeah,
home as well. So Reading.
yeah, which
Ooh.
is a bit of a surprise. But before tonight, so that was Norwich's fifth win in a row. They beat QPR 4-0 on Saturday, but it's not going their way tonight. Leeds did move up into second. They beat Preston 2-0 last night. Preston were down to 10 men, and then Leeds took advantage and got the 3 points. But they did fall to a surprise 1-0 defeat away at Birmingham at the weekend. Birmingham, who are playing Sheffield United tonight, that's currently 1-1 at the moment. And Sheffield United are in third. They won 1-0 away at Preston at the weekend. But like I say, playing Birmingham tonight. If they win that, they can go back up into second. From the top three, it really does look like it's going to be two from that top three that are going to go up through the automatic promotion places. There's a 7-point gap down to West Brom in fourth. They didn't help their cause, losing 3-2 away at fellow playoff hopefuls Bristol City last night, who moved up to fifth. Villa make up the playoff places in sixth. They beat Sheffield Wednesday 3-1 away at the weekend, which was a great result. They can go back up into fifth tonight if they win at Rotherham, but they're 1-0 down and down to 10 men. So looks like Villa are going to stay in sixth unless there's a huge turnaround in that game. At the bottom, it looks like a matter of time before relegation is confirmed for Ipswich. They're 13 points from safety with only 6 games remaining, although they did get a 2-1 win away at Bolton at the weekend, but it looks like it's a little too late. Bolton, they're also struggling. They're 8 points from safety. They've only taken 3 points from their last 5 games, and losing to Ipswich clearly didn't help. So those two do look in real trouble. The final relegation place could be any team from a possible 6, really. There's only 5 points separating Rotherham.
All of the teams, so from 17th to 22nd at the moment, are picking points up as well.
Yeah,
Tonight,
well, especially so Rotherham are in the final relegation place,
yeah.
but obviously they're winning tonight.
They've pushed
Birmingham,
Millwall down.
yeah, and Birmingham dropped down obviously, but they got a 9-point deduction for financial irregularities or something like that. So that put them in the sort of a bit of danger at the bottom. So still a lot to play for at the bottom of the championship. The top 2 or 3 is probably more set than the relegation places are. In League One, Luton remain top, and they've now stretched their unbeaten run to a record 28 games, Chris. Apparently, it's in the 100-odd years history of the league, no team's ever done that. But obviously,
Amazing,
Arsenal did, but I think it's in the lower leagues. No team's ever done that before. So they're now 7 points clear at the top, despite 2 draws in their last 5 games, which I guess that's seen as a bit of a wobble when you've gone 28 unbeaten. Yeah. Sunderland are in second. They're 1 point above Barnsley, but they did miss the chance to stretch that lead. They drew 1-1 with Burton last night. Barnsley, who are in third, they lost 3-1 against Burton at the weekend, which allowed Portsmouth in fourth to make ground. They won 3-2 away at Wycombe. And they've got a game in hand, so they could go back up to third with a victory. Pompey are really strange at the moment. They're always sort of 2 or 3-0 up. Then it gets really close towards the end. I think they just switch off. Anyway, but Portsmouth beat Sunderland in the checker trade. Chris, you must be familiar with the checker trade.
Yeah.
So, good game by all accounts. Doncaster make up the playoff places in 6th. They're 5 points ahead of Peterborough, who are in 7th. At the bottom, it's tight. There's only 10 points separating Bristol Rovers in 16th and bottom place Bradford. But it doesn't look good for the bottom 2. Bradford and Walsall have both lost all of their last 5 games. Wimbledon are the big movers after being bottom for so long. 3 wins in the last 5 has lifted them to 22nd and only 1 point from safety. Southend are in 21st. They're only ahead of Wimbledon on goal difference and have only claimed 1 point from their last 5 matches. And Wycombe are only a point clear of relegation, and along with the bottom 2 have lost their last 5 games. So 3 of the bottom 5 in League One have not won a game in the last 5. So it's really tight at the bottom of League One. Yep, that's it.
Okay, so League Two with only 5 games to go. Lincoln remain top and now only need 1 more win to secure promotion. They beat fellow promotion hopefuls MK Dons away by 2-0. So it was a good win for them. Mansfield have climbed out of the playoffs into second after they beat Cambridge 1-0. So MK Dons in third and Mansfield in fourth. Sorry, I got that completely the wrong way around. So MK Dons in third. Both Mansfield and MK Dons are on 72 points. Bury have slipped into fourth. They lost away to Carlisle 3-2. So Bury 2 up in that one, and then Carlisle actually went down to 10 men. So and ended up winning the game. So it was a crazy game. Tranmere drew 0-0 with Newport to remain in 5th on 68 points. I would say probably three of those 5 teams, I think, will gain the automatic promotion. So that is, I think Lincoln have done it, but it would be between Mansfield, MK Dons, Bury, and Tranmere. I think for the other 2 spots, Tranmere have come from nowhere. Literally, they did lose. Obviously, we took a week off. They lost that weekend actually, but other than that, they've got pretty perfect record really. So Forest Green, they won 2-1, are in 6th, and 7th Exeter, they drew 1-0. But they had a game in hand, but I'll come back to that, Exeter. So for the other 2 playoff places, you're probably going to be looking at Forest Green, Exeter, Carlisle, Colchester, and I'd say outside chances if they have good runs of games for Oldham and Swindon. So the bottom. So bear in mind, I did this before the game last night. So obviously it's very close at the bottom. 3 teams are set to battle it out for survival, with only 1 team who will come out on top of that. All 3 teams drew at the weekend, so they all did pick up a point. So Macclesfield were bottom, Notts County 23rd, Yeovil 22nd. But Macclesfield actually won their game in hand last night. They beat Exeter. So Macclesfield are out of the bottom two, and Yeovil have been pushed into that now. So
Yeah, not good. Not good.
So last weekend, I went to the game with my wife. My wife walked on the pitch before the game with the players.
She wasn't meant to, by the way.
Yeah,
she got apprehended by the police shortly after entering the playing area.
It wasn't a protest or anything. It was to do with the competition. Anyway, she got to walk out with the players. So we went, but it was not good. It was terrible. You could just tell that the morale has just been completely sucked from that team. Like first half, they were actually not too bad, but there was no attempt to move the ball forward and try and get a goal. It was all around the middle. You know, the odd cross here and there, but no one, I wouldn't say, could say that they actually gave over about 70% in that game. So I hate to say it, but from what I saw that game, I think they're down, and they'll probably end up bottom as well.
But then they get a last minute winner against sort of promotion chasing. Who did they play at the weekend? Swindon. Sorry, yeah, but they're up there, aren't they, Swindon? I was thinking the MTK Dons game, but I mean,
it's all good them getting a point, but you know the other two teams.
Points better than none, especially when you're losing that late on. I'm just trying to put a positive spin on it for you, Chris.
I don't think there's any positive. I was there at the ground, so it was a fan appreciation day, but I don't think the fans would have come away very appreciated from what I saw. But fair play to the people that I go probably 3 or 4 times a season. If I had to sit through that all season, I think I'd be pretty sick and tired of it by now, to be honest with you. But we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah, I was going to say we'll see.
New owners, new manager.
Hopefully, still in the football league,
whoever in the football league. But I've tried to find a team that have spiraled this badly in about 6 seasons, and I can't see any team that have been that bad. You know, you look at Sunderland, maybe, but you know they've only gone down 2 divisions.
Yeah,
verge of going out of the football league for the first time since 2002. So. Yeah,
we'll have to wait and see. I'm just going to go back to the Championship. Villa have turned it round. So Villa, 2-1. So 6 minutes.
So from the time that you've done
so from us saying a few minutes ago that they're probably not going to turn it around, and
John Terry's put his shirt on and he's come out second half.
So they've got a penalty in the 48th minute to equalise, and then they've just
Abraham score. Is he playing tonight?
No, Kodja has scored the penalty. Abraham is playing. Yeah, he is playing. I'm not sure who's got the second one. It hasn't come through yet, but so Villa have gone up to 5th. Rotherham are still in the relegation zone.
Did you see he scored for Juventus?
I bet it was. Well, you say that, but I tell you what, that Mikel Keane.
God,
he is a player. He is scoring left, right, and centre at the moment. Anyway, so we'll obviously Juventus won, Ajax 0, Barca still 1 up on United. We've got Birmingham 1, Sheffield United 1, Brentford 2-0 up on Ipswich. So I think Ipswich are going to be gone. Hull 1, Wigan 1, Millwall QPR's 0-0, Norwich 0, Reading 1, and Rotherham 1, Aston Villa 2. Okay, so I think that's it for part 1, Chris.
Yep, that is it for part 1. We'll be back in part 2 with an update on predictions. We'll try and guess Pete's teaser this week, and our special topic, which is kind of a free-for-all of football over the last 2 weeks. So we'll be back in part 2.
Hello and welcome back to part 2 of View from the Sideline podcast. We're going to start part 2 with just a very quick update on predictions. So we had a scare for Jamie maybe at the top last week. So Dave got a score of 25, but was only let down by Yeovil's last minute
Yeah,
equaliser.
yeah.
Is he a Yeovil fan?
Dave, no,
No, well,
he's
he
a
won't be
Liverpool
that.
fan,
Oh,
unfortunately.
he
Yeah.
won't be that worried then. But yeah, so if that obviously he had, well, we all had Swindon to beat Yeovil, but if that goal hadn't have gone in, he would have tied at the top for 30 points. But 25 still very
So
respectable.
close.
But
Yeah, well,
it's
yeah, it's only one of about 5 or 6 people
yeah,
that have done that. So.
absolutely. Sorry, Ajax have just equalised. Sorry, just at the start here.
Dark horses. I was saying Ajax are dark horses for.
Yeah, 1-1. So sorry, on predictions. So we've got Mark taking part this week. The predictions are on social media, so you can go on and have a look at those. So we'll see how Mark gets on. We're getting into the realms of introducing our two lucky, well, re having another go. Yeah,
Re-entries. Yeah,
re-entries. That's the word I
re-entries.
was looking for. Yeah.
The trophy is on the way. It's all done.
How exciting!
On the way. So that should be
It's
I think start of next week. So hopefully I'll be seeing you next week. So you can get your hands on it. Until then, it will be on my mantelpiece.
yeah.
But-
You're not winning.
so our scores are still very close, aren't they, on predictions
Yeah, I
this
think
year?
the last week sort of moved us because we were dead on before that, but I think there's a 10-point difference now. So yeah, that's predictions. Only a couple more weeks to go, and then
Well, yeah,
all
I
will
think
be
it's only.
revealed.
I
We'll
think
have a
it's
winner.
5 weeks, maybe 5.
Yeah, can't be
6 weeks.
many. Yeah, can't be many.
Cool.
Okay, so we're just gonna have a quick catch up on some of the, I guess, the big stories that have been around that have happened over the last couple of weeks. I think we've picked a few things each. I think. Do you want to go first, Chris, or
Yeah,
shall
yeah.
I?
I'll go. I don't mind going first. So I was going to talk about my trip to Huish Park, but we actually did that in earlier on. So I just want to talk about the Champions League places for the Premier League. So obviously Liverpool, Man City, all but confirmed in their little mini league that they're having at the moment. But obviously between third, fourth, fifth, and sixth, how close it is this season. I think it makes it a lot more entertaining, yet at the same time a little bit nerve wracking that the spaces are limited, and you think only half the teams of those 4 teams are going to guarantee a place. I just wanted to see if you've changed your mind, because obviously you're obviously going to say Tottenham are going to get there, but have you changed your mind in with Harry Kane likely to miss the rest of the season? Are you
Uh,
worried or?
I'm I'm more worried than I have been. I'd probably say over the last couple of months, but weirdly not because Harry Kane's injured. I I honestly think that I don't think that's as big a blow as it could possibly be for other teams losing your sort of main player. I do feel that Spurs play differently when Harry Kane's not playing,
uh,
and
This
it.
is, I think that showed last night. To be honest with
Yeah,
you, because
absolutely, and I think that we play a lot sort of narrower. We play a different type of football because we have to. We almost become more solid and a tighter unit, and then play on the break with sort of
I
Lucas and
find
Son with
I
their
find
pace
Son
up front.
gets more freedom when Harry Kane's not playing, so he gets to roam more in the position of central striker rather than being stuck out
Yeah,
wide. I think he's more effective in the middle. But like you
yeah, but
said, you're not. If Harry Kane's fit, he's always going to be your target man, isn't he? Not.
yeah, but if you think about when Kane's been injured in the past, I think there was 6 or 7 games this season. And Son came into his own. I don't think we lost a game, so I'm not overly worried. And I suppose the other way I kind of look at it is that we've now got the Liverpool game out of the way. So the only one that you would possibly kind of think that is going to cause Spurs of trouble, and this is no disrespect to the other teams at all, would be the City away. So, and I think the outcome of the Champions League will have a big bearing on that. So, to be honest, I think we play them 3 times in the space of a couple of weeks. So, I'm more nervous because Spurs had a big gap of 10 or so points in the top 4, and that gap has sort of now disintegrated. But I'm more worried about that than I am about the fact that Harry Kane may be out for the rest of the season.
Chelsea are playing Liverpool on Sunday. I was hoping Porto were going to get something out of the game last night, because then it might have encouraged Liverpool to rest a few players, but I can't see that happening now. But Chelsea have still got to play Liverpool and Manchester United away, plus we've got to play Leicester and Watford as well.
Yeah, so well, I mean, this weekend's big, and again, I know Huddersfield are relegated, and I mean, you can take that as you want. It may mean they play with a bit more freedom, but Spurs are at home to Huddersfield on Saturday, early kickoff, and I guess you're the late kickoff Sunday. Yeah, I mean that this weekend could be a big swing. If Spurs take 3 points and you fail to take anything against Liverpool, then it's a 5-point gap again.
A bit harsh this, right? We played Monday night
because we've got a game.
Europa League.
I think we've got a game in hand on you.
Yeah, all 3 of you do. Yeah, we played a game for all 3 of you.
Sorry, Chris, don't bring the Europa League into it. You have not played any team that's above semi-professional level in that tournament.
How many teams do you know have played on a Monday night and then had to travel?
It's a training game. I don't buy that. It's only in Prague.
Anyway, who do you think is going to get the 2 spots?
I think Spurs, and I'm hoping that's more with my head than with my heart, and United.
Yeah, I'm going to say.
And I went with those 2. That was my top 4 at the beginning of the season with our predictions. That was my top 4.
I'm going to stick with the 2 teams I said, 3rd and 4th. That was Chelsea and Man United.
So the difference is basically the teams we support.
That's strange.
So that was predictable.
That's so strange.
But I've just while we're talking about Chelsea, and then we'll move on. You dodged a bullet with us not doing a podcast last week with the farce that was Cardiff v Chelsea. Absolute farce. That's probably why you'll get top 4. You'll probably get something out of the Liverpool game because the refs and the linesmen will just be ridiculously bad.
So
put your hand on your heart and say that they were the correct decisions. You should have had a man sent off. Cardiff should have had a second penalty.
Offside. Yeah, I'm not doubting it was offside. But when they redid this using virtual reality on Monday night,
here we go.
Did you see it? Did you see it?
No, I didn't see it.
You have to watch the video. So they've somehow programmed what happened into this virtual reality thing. Jamie Carragher's got his goggles on, and the position where the linesman is in, he can't see Azpilicueta. So when it's flicked on, and he then sees him, but to him he looks like he's been in an onside position. So
I don't buy it.
And to be honest with you, I don't think Rudiger would have got sent off. The keeper would have got it. I don't think it was a red card.
I don't think he would. I don't think he would have got it. And they should. Cardiff should have had another penalty. How on earth that was not a penalty? I don't understand.
Saying this,
You dodged
it's
the
not.
bullet.
They should have switched off right at the end and conceded that goal. Yeah, that's not down to anyone but themselves conceding that.
No, but they should have been 2-0 up against 10 men at that point, so that it would have been irrelevant.
They
I
still,
think.
yeah.
Anyway, we move on. So my first thing to mention, I think I was going to talk about Harry Kane, but I think we've sort of covered that. But I'll combine two of mine. Chris, honest opinion on Spurs' new stadium. I know we've covered it in the past. We've been a little bit critical.
I've not been there yet. I didn't plan on going. No, it looks alright, doesn't it?
Looks
I'd say they need
alright.
maybe step the security up a little bit. Stop people.
Oh yeah, what an idiot! What an absolute idiot!
How do they get on the pitch?
Oh, I don't know.
Surely your security is good enough. It being a new stadium, but
it is so impressive. So I was
Gary Lineker tweeted, so it's the best stadium he's ever been to.
Oh, you have to
it's
just
nowhere
the
near
atmosphere.
as good as the new camp. I'm not having that.
No,
it might be state of the art, but it's not better than the
completely different. Completely different, Chris. If you go to the new camp, it is I'm not going to disrespect it because it's a fantastic stadium. It's not. I don't think it's what you think it is. Obviously, the atmosphere, the attendance, the fact that Barcelona play there, all of that, the history makes it an unbelievable football stadium. But Spurs' new stadium just looks unreal. So I was gutted that it wasn't on telly last week when I was away.
That was strange, wasn't it? I thought they would have.
Yeah, I mean the opening. I think the opening ceremony was, but I think because of the other games that were on, it was just, I guess, and the way the TV schedule's done, no one knew when it was going to be ready anyway. So, but it looks absolutely phenomenal. The atmosphere is amazing. Wembley is forgotten. I've got my special edition program on order, so I have ordered the program for the match, and I got an email from Spurs today, and it is in stock, and it is winging its way to myself very shortly.
They even ran out of stock.
120 pages of pure joy in A4 size as well. I won't tell you how much it cost, but it's amazing.
I've seen how much it cost. You messaged
so
me.
I cannot wait to get that. Which then leads me on to night's game.
They probably made it all back, all the stadium money back for just selling those.
Chris, if I can sit there and say that I've contributed X amount of money towards that stadium, then I'm happy.
You've earned your seat, mate. You've earned your seat.
2 games, 2 wins, no goals conceded. We're on fire. This stadium is going to give us the lift that we need. So I'm just going to very quickly touch on last night's game. Spurs deserve to win that. I know you said, Chris.
It was a poor game. It wasn't great.
I don't think it was a poor game. It's a Champions League quarter-final.
I'd say that was probably one of the worst quarter-finals of the Champions League I've seen for a while. I didn't think it was. There didn't seem to be a lot of passion to win the game. It was two teams that were very nervous for most of the game, and
I enjoyed it. I thought it was.
You probably deserved just to win it.
I think Spurs created the better chances. City had most of the play.
It was very strange that he didn't bring Sané and De Bruyne on earlier. I really didn't understand why they didn't come on just after you scored.
Well, there's two ways to look at it. So, I think from a City point of view, going back to the Etihad, a 1-0 defeat, and keep it, because he went there not to lose. Basically, I think they would have been more than happy with a draw the way they set up. But going away 1-0, losing 1-0 is obviously better than losing 2-0. So maybe he didn't want to open them up too much just after Spurs had scored. But there's a lot of talk. I mean, going away to City will be hot favourites. There's no denying that. But just imagine this. Just imagine Spurs get an early goal after 10, 15 minutes, like Liverpool did last year. City have then got to score three. I wouldn't want to be playing against Spurs wanting to have to score three goals, because Spurs are, yesterday they were defensively, they were amazing. They were well drilled.
You weren't
They
tested. I wouldn't say you were tested that much.
I think they. Mm,
What did you think
I
of the penalty?
disagree. If you go by the letter of the law, which is what all these idiots are sort of talking about, then I suppose it is a penalty. But I agree with Jermaine Genius. I agree with Vertonghen. All the people that have come out and said that if we're going to start giving penalties for things like that, people are going to have to change the way they play. The art of defending is going to change. And where do we draw the line with what is a penalty and what isn't?
I didn't even think his
It's
arm
all
was in.
right. Well, it's all right saying that because your arms are out, you're making your body area bigger than if the ball hits your arm.
But why
Therefore,
would he?
it's a penalty.
Why would he slide
But
on the floor with his arms next to his body? I don't
exactly,
understand.
exactly. I challenge anybody listening to
Try and
this.
do it. Try and do it without putting your arms out.
Absolutely, it's like you're in a toboggan. Try
you
and
end
do
up
a
hurting
slide.
yourself.
Try
I
and do
don't.
a slide tackle or block a football with your arms by your side. It's no different to jumping for a header. You use your arms to get elevation, and
Did you even realise that it was handball until they stopped play?
no, but it's the whole thing. I think it was. I think Jan Vertonghen actually said that when you watch a replay 20 or 30 or 40 times, the more you watch it,
You're not just making your mind
the
just
more you
think
believe
it
it's
was. Yeah,
the more
that's
you
the thing.
believe it's a penalty. I still think there's a lot of work to be done on VAR because there's a lot of interpretation and things like that. But I don't know. If the United one against PSG was a penalty, then yeah, it was a penalty. But I don't think either were. If you use your own discretion, I don't think
Yeah.
either were. But is there room for discretion in refereeing? That's the point. But yeah, just imagine that. Just imagine that Spurs get an early goal and how that tie could turn around. It's so evenly balanced, but
See, they've given Suarez's goal as an own goal now.
oh, have they?
Luke Shaw own goal. Yeah.
We'll get his goal bonus.
Man United have not had a shot on target yet, according to that.
No. So yeah, that was my bit. The only other thing I guess was obviously it's been on the cards for a long time, but Fulham and Huddersfield officially being relegated.
We wave goodbye to
Yes,
Huddersfield and Fulham.
we on a very selfish note, we had them both in our predictions to go down. So
That's good. Look, see this
oh
podcast.
no, oh no, actually, I'm telling you a lie, Chris. You didn't have Fulham. You had
have them, did I?
Saints. No,
Saints,
you
yeah.
had Saints. Yeah. So yeah, we'll wave goodbye to Fulham and Huddersfield. I think we put a stat out on social media a few weeks ago. Yeah,
So I don't think we're that surprised, to be honest with you.
If you total their points up, they're still in the relegation zone. If you combine both of their efforts this season,
I think Huddersfield unfortunately have given up a little bit. I think I've been a bit generous on this week's predictions as well, because I've only put 3-0 down.
Well, yeah, I think the advantage that Mark's got is that he did his score after Kane was injured, so I think he may have gone a bit conservative. Anyway, I think that wraps it up for this week, Chris. Yeah. Unless you've got anything else.
Not for that, but the teaser.
The teaser.
Right,
yes.
Let's get my pen. So England. So London-based teams at the start of the Premier League 92-93 season. So we got Arsenal and we've got Chelsea. All right, we've got two teams there.
And we got Spurs.
Spurs is our third team. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Palace were there.
Okay, let's throw them in. The one I'm thinking of is Wimbledon.
Wimbledon, yeah, 5. Charlton.
Now we're in trouble.
Oh, we're in trouble, right? Okay.
Now we're in trouble. I don't know.
Charlton would make 6.
Oh, what about QPR? Like Les Ferdinand, was he there then? Were QPR in it? No, they were. QPR were in it because they played Man City first ever Monday night football. So QPR were definitely in it.
Right, so that's 6. So Charlton, are we?
I remember watching that game. I think Andy Sinton scored and QPR won 1-0. That'd be really sad if that's right. I remember watching that. One of the stands was down at Main Road and they had all the boards up behind the goal.
Right, so that's 6. Are we saying 7 for Charlton and then just get lucky?
What? But Fulham wouldn't have been in it, would they?
No, Fulham were far down by then.
Watford.
No,
Charlton's the only one.
Right, should we say 6 or 7? I reckon it's 6 or 7.
You go for it, Chris. What do you think?
I'm going to say that. Well, I said I thought they were in there, so I'm going to say yes.
Okay, we're going for 7.
All right,
so we're going Spurs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Palace, QPR, Charlton, Wimbledon.
Yeah, right.
That's our 7.
QPR.
Yeah.
Is in there. Tottenham are in there. Arsenal and Chelsea are in there. Wimbledon are in there. Palace are in there.
Charlton.
Charlton are not.
Oh, Chris.
Hang on, let me just. Bugger. I thought there was 22 teams in there as well. No, Charlton are not in there. So I failed. I failed miserably.
Oh, we were pretty close though.
Yeah, it's a bit disappointing we got that. I'm just trying to find out this QPR one, see if you've shown your age a little bit. It couldn't have been because they drew with Arsenal 0-0 twice that season.
No, I said
who did you say?
Man City.
Oh, Man City. Sorry.
Yeah.
QPR. So Man City at Main Road, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I'm sure Andy Sinton scored the goal and they won 1-0. First ever Monday night football.
Okay. Well, according to this, it was 1-1.
Oh wow! Was it the right game?
Let me have a look.
And did Andy Sinton score? Because that's good enough for me.
In fact, they drew 1-1 both times that season. God, am I actually gonna have to look this up?
Well, West Ham weren't in it, were they?
No. So who was this guy? Andy
Sinton.
Sinton.
Oh, here we go. I've got the fixtures. Oh, this is sad, isn't it? Yeah, Man City was 1-1.
It was White scored, not me. And Sinton scored, yeah.
Yeah, and QPR played in their red and black
kit.
Red and black hoops, was it?
Someone go back and have a look. If
I'll tell you what, Chris.
Go back and have a look at that kit.
I'll tell you what. I think I could even tell you what their sponsor was. Was it Compaq?
Compaq, yeah, that's it, yeah. Looks like it. I can't see it from there.
I vividly remember watching that game.
So you were right.
Strange.
It was the first game
ever Monday night football.
So the Sky Sports hired cheerleaders. They had cheerleaders before the game.
And it was Forest Liverpool, and Forest Liverpool was the first televised game. Teddy Sheringham scored against David James. Anyway, that's all our teaser's gone for the rest of the year now. Okay, we'll wrap it up there.
Holloway was playing for QPR as well.
Was
Right.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up there then, Chris,
it.
before we
That's 2 weeks of
recreate the whole of
podcasting.
the first season of the Premier League. Okay, so yeah, that's it for this week.
Yep. So we will be back next week with episode 32. So we will see you then.
Yep. See you later.